First of all, thank you for being here this afternoon in this very nice location for two purposes. The first purpose is the launch of a book, and with Stephen we are going to talk about that in a few minutes. And of course, the second purpose of our meeting in this very nice location is the graduation ceremony of our DBA. And as you know, Business Science Institute is an international academic institution dedicated only on DBA. We are only one program, a DBA program, today with more than 230 students coming from 47 countries, and we teach face-to-face and online in French. Frankly speaking, I prefer French. In English, but I try. In German, niemand ist perfect. Sorry for the German-speaking students that are here. And very soon we hope, maybe in Spanish. Okay, and so we are here for these two purposes: the launch of the book and our graduation ceremony. Of course, the launch of a book is for us very important. It is an initiative from AMBA. AMBA suggested to all the accredited AMBA DBA in the world, around 10 programs, to meet and to put on the table some project. And with Stephen, we suggested to create a book on DBA. It's a collective project. 8 schools have been involved in this project, and we would like to thank you, all the schools who participate. Thank you, AMBA, for this initiative. And now I'm going to give the floor to Stephen.
Well, I can promise you it's quite an I can promise you it was quite an experience learning how to edit a book with Michelle. I don't know if anyone else in the room has done it, but it was a really, really fantastic experience, and I enjoyed it very, very much.
Because of the alarm?
The alarm, I'm used to that now, that's not a problem, but it was a great experience. So we've got a number of fantastic people in our presence and also online to come and talk to you today. And we're going to start with the president of AMBA, as Michelle just mentioned, who's behind this initiative. A great idea, and has led to all sorts of interesting collaborations. It's been a great learning journey for all of us. So once again, thank you, Andrew. So Andrew Main Wilson, who is the president of AMBA, is going to do a 15-minute address, I think, Andrew, on what I think will be an extremely interesting topic for all of you. So Andrew, you have the floor. Thank you once again, and we look very much forward to hearing your talk.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Just going to check, because you've had some sound issues. Can you hear me okay?
Very well, thank you.
Very good indeed. Well, first, good afternoon, and I wanted to thank you for not being with you in Versailles today. My train ticket was cancelled on Eurostar because of yet another train strike in the UK. I think England and France are competing with most strikes in any one year. I'm afraid to say that at the moment we're winning. So I'm very sorry about that. I was so much looking forward to being with you at Versailles. But thanks to technology, I guess this is the next best thing. So what I wanted to do was just really share two perspectives today with you. Firstly, the size and shape of the AMBA DBA schools market. So it's quite difficult for a potential DBA to evaluate fully a school's DBA program because many of the elements of the DBA program are semi-invisible. So if I just explain to you that AMBA accreditation of the DBA school signifies that it's met major international quality standards, and amongst the standards that we check are the quality of the faculty researchers, the frequency of manager-researcher contact, the quality and depth of the manager theses, and increasingly now the quality and frequency of online communications. So you can be sure that if your DBA school is AMBER accredited, it has met those stringent quality standards. Now, of the remaining AMBER accredited schools, it's the MBA we accredit, and we have 60,000 MBA graduates who are also members of AMBER in their own right. And one of our strong desires is to promote the book and our AMBER DBA schools to those 60,000 MBA students. So just coming on to the current slide, in my view, there are 4 key elements in lifetime learning. Your academic education, your career experience, learning on the job, inspirational mentors, and your worldwide travel. And the great thing about the DBA is, unlike any other qualification, it's unique in bringing together those first 3 elements of your lifetime learning in one place. The business world needs applied, practical, in-depth learning more than ever before. So, one of my personal ambitions in life, which I've been fortunate to fulfill, is to interview in person, face-to-face, the 10 people I most admire in the world in 10 different fields, from the most powerful woman in the world, and I know it's controversial, Lady Thatcher, to the richest man in the world, Bill Gates, the world's greatest naturalist, David Attenborough. So 10 people who've achieved quite remarkable things. And they were all 10 very different personalities, but they shared 2 common characteristics that I believe are common characteristics with all of you as DBAs today. The first is they worked incredibly hard and were incredibly dedicated, trying to be the best in their chosen profession, a work rate that's quite extraordinary, because they knew that talent and or intelligence on their own were not enough to succeed at the highest level. And the second thing I noticed about all 10 was they had an intense curiosity about life and an intense curiosity about helping their profession or their field of expertise get better. There was a constant desire to learn in depth and understand more. And I see those 2 qualities as the key driving force and the uniqueness of the DBA. You've put in years of dedicated learning into your thesis at the same time as you've had full-time jobs and personal lives that you want to maximise as well. Thank you. Next slide, please.
It's done.
And so these individuals look as different as they were different as personalities, but those 2 characteristics really shine out in me in DBAs. So finally, and this I think is the most important slide, you're graduating at a time when the world needs fresh-thinking business leaders with greater in-depth understanding of the key issues facing business than ever before. I mean, let alone the changes necessary in mastering technical changes such as artificial intelligence, digital marketing. We face, going into 2023, at least 6 huge uncertain challenges. And they by and large affect us all, so they're truly global in impact. And business leaders are needed to lead their companies through. Firstly, rampant inflation. In the UK, inflation's gone from less than 1% up to 10 to 15% within a few months. Last week, I chaired our Latin America Deans and Directors Conference in South America. And in Argentina, inflation is 70%, 70%. How do you manage a business and pricing and purchasing in such conditions? Secondly, around the world, COVID is better but has not gone away. And what would happen if more mutations came back and closed down the world again? What business skills do you need as a leader to come through that? Thirdly, the war in Ukraine seems to be getting worse and worse, with no side prepared to back down. And as the stakes get higher, the impact on business obviously gets higher. The tensions in China and Taiwan, which I hope will be resolved, would dwarf any of the problems coming out of the war in Ukraine. And one the issues coming from the war in Ukraine is energy supply uncertainty. Here, all of us in Europe have the almost unthinkable issue of rationing of gas and electricity, or even blackouts coming this winter. And then finally, the thing that before these five we were all supposed to be focusing on was businesses leading the way in managing climate change. So the world needs DBA expertise more than ever in 2022. Leaders who can take management practice to the next level of depth, insight, and fresh ideas. And I believe you only get that from the DBA doctorate level of third cycle learners. Bachelors and masters teach you the basic skills, but it's at the doctoral level that you can discuss and develop the leading edge fresh thinking that will make a difference. So I very much hope we at Amber are going to encourage and support many of our 60,000 current MBAs to follow in your footsteps and undertake a DBA program at one of our Amber accredited schools. But today is all about you and your graduation. Once again, I'm sorry I'm not with you in Versailles, but I want to congratulate you all personally on your amazing dedication and achievement, and wish you every success, personally and professionally, for your futures. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We really appreciate your presence with us today, and we
I can't hear you, Michelle, but you are smiling, so I assume you're happy now.
I am always smiling, so that's not an information, you know. Okay, with the sound. Thank you very much, Andrew, for being with us today. We are very happy about that, and we are also very happy because UK is now better than France in terms of strike. So all our congratulations. And now I give bye-bye, Andrew, and I give the floor to Stephen.
Yes, I'll try and get away from that speaker. Thank you very much, Andrew. I don't know if you can see the audience, but we've got at least 100 people in here, I think, with 15 graduates, some students, some alumni, and a very healthy...
Excellent, so I can partly see, that's great news.
Great, so we all, as Michelle said, we all really appreciated your presentation, so thank you very much once again. We've also got someone here with us today who's come from a very, very long distance part in the book. We ended up calling it the book steering committee, but you were there at almost all of the meetings and always lots of positive input, and you did a great job in helping us and supporting us. So we're absolutely delighted that you're here, and you come from such a very long way to be with us. I'll let you tell everybody where you're from, because I don't want to give away your secrets. But this is one of the beauties of being part of the DBA community, and once again, what Amber did was absolutely fantastic, because would we have connected without Amber having this initiative? Maybe not, maybe yes, but certainly we learnt a lot from working together, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. And Diego, who is a professor at Centrum as well, and of course the most important person is Nina, who is your good lady, and she's come with you. So we're very happy to have you all with us here today. Thank you.
Distinguished professors, invited special guests, newly to be doctors in business administration. It's really a pleasure to be here. As Steve said, this book is a byproduct of an international collaboration among 8 business schools within the AMBA umbrella, and more than 10 authors, men and women authors, professors. Some of them directors of doctoral programs in their own schools. And we have business schools from the United Kingdom, from continental Europe, from South Africa, and of course South America, our business school. And as Steve said, this idea was born perhaps a year and a half ago, thereabouts, through the initiative of Michelle here, he was insisting that we should have a book that should explain what a DBA is really about and what's the difference between the DBA and other doctoral programs and the like. And under the umbrella of AMBA, we began meeting, and finally we ended up with a beautiful book. I have it here. So I'd like to, with your permission, briefly refer to the parts of the chapter that Professor Diego Noreña, present here, and myself wrote. And I know that some of you perhaps know the information, but some of you perhaps do not. And I will just briefly read parts of that. Our chapter dealt with the history, a brief description and perspective of the doctoral programs. So we decided to begin mentioning the history of institution of higher learning. And we knew that everybody knows almost that the oldest university in the world is Bologna. But we knew soon after that, and I had that hunch myself, that there were other institutions much before Bologna. And in fact, the oldest institution of higher learning is from India, 2,000 plus years before Christ. At that time, of course, there were not universities as we know them today. They were mostly institutions created by religious institutions, monarchies, or dynasties. In China, it was a dynasty that created the first university. But then later on, of course, the word university was coined in France, here in this country, in the 12th century. And the first university that used that name is the University of Paris, here in France. Of course, later on, the doctoral program began, or doctoral, let's call them degrees in quote, began to appear also around that time, mostly here in Europe. And the first doctoral, let's call it degrees in quote, were granted by Bologna, Paris, and Oxford, also in the 12th century. But at that time, they were not research-based. The degree was granted to a professor who would dedicate his or her life to teach. And it was a sort of a license to teach in an institution of higher learning. So the doctoral degree as we know it now, particularly as PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, was, let's call it also in quote, created in Germany at the University of Berlin. The first doctoral program similar to what a PhD would be today was granted in Germany using the word Doctor of Philosophy. Yeah? But of course, the first doctoral degree in business administration was created in 1922, and that one we all know in this room perhaps, at Harvard Business School in the United States. And from there on, of course, especially in the Anglo-Saxon world, DBAs began to grow and to disseminate throughout the universities, and today we have quite a good number of them. But then a question came up to my mind. What about in Latin America? How popular, how common is the DBA? And you will probably be surprised to know that it's not very common yet. I was counting the programs we have, and we have at the most 10 programs throughout the region. 2 in Mexico, 1 in Costa Rica, 1 in Peru, and the rest in Colombia, Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. So it's a rare degree in a way, yeah? But it's gaining ground. And the main reason it is not so popular yet, not so common yet, is because over there, the MBA is seen as a terminal degree. A degree in which you become a professional business manager with all the tools, the knowledge, and expertise to manage a company of any size, anywhere, at any time. So the DBA is then breaking new ground, and we hope to promote it, and the book would do that, part of that, to become much more popular in Latin America. And we hope to do that because, as Michelle said it before, and also Steve, DBA means also a way to advance the science of management quicker, to find new processes, new ways of doing the management science better, and this way companies not only would grow bigger and better, but also they would become more global in terms of having large companies everywhere, and hopefully now, as Andrew mentioned before, and we have still the slide over there, with a focus on sustainability, which is the main challenge that we all have in business today. So to close, I want to thank very much Michelle for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here in France, of course, where the first university was created, and with your graduation ceremony, your professors in this grand setting. So thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming all the way from Peru, from Centrum Business School. I've got to say that, Centrum, you said Centrum Business School. It's important to say Centrum Business School. Thank you very much for coming. It's been a great pleasure having you with us today. Now, we're going to move onto the stage and also online, because we have some of our co-authors with us. I hope, Geeta, Ginny, can you hear us? Can you hear us? They can't hear us for the moment. Can you hear me now? Yes, great. Now, we were also expecting Helena, but I think she wasn't able to make it unless we can't see her on the slide. So the idea is, we've had Ruben, who's with us here today, is to maybe get some input from Geeta and from Ginny about the project, and also Ruben opened up at the end of your talk very interesting about country perspectives, continental perspectives. Where is the DBA going? That's very interesting, always interesting to have a historical perspective as well when you're thinking forward. So, Geeta, maybe we'll start with the United Kingdom. I don't know why we would do that. I mean, what an idea. Maybe because we've got something in common, Geeta, but perhaps we could start with your perspective on the DBA, on the project. Geeta is, I wrote down your job title because I think at the moment you're the interim DBA program director, is that right?
That's correct, yes. First of all, good afternoon everyone, and thank you. Well, congratulations first of all to all the graduates today on your wonderful accomplishment. I wish you the very best going forward in the future. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today about this exciting book, which is on the DBA. I think it's fantastic that Andrew is up at the minute, because it gives me the perfect segue to talk about the DBA, which in my mind brings together two rather different spheres. One, the sphere of professional practice, where we've got to cope with all of these challenges and many more. In the UK, we've got the inflation problem, we've got cost of living crisis. The UK is not unique by any means in having to deal with all of that. And businesses have to navigate those challenges. And the other world is the world of academia, where we're sort of constantly trying to push at the boundaries of knowledge to provide ways in which these standards perhaps can be met. So by bringing these two worlds together, I think the DBA provides executives with an opportunity to really tackle these challenges head on in a very scientifically robust manner. And that's how they're creating the impact for their organizations, but also on their own personal professional development. How does the DBA do that? I think that's where the book comes in, really, because it completely sort of demystifies the DBA. It tells us, for somebody who's contemplating doing a DBA, or perhaps for a manager who's thinking about sending, perhaps people who work with him on a DBA course of study, it tells you what the program is, what it's about, the kinds of strengths of the program, the kind of skills it can help develop, and how it can help you generate the impact on practice, both at an organizational and professional level. So, yeah, it's I think for people who are planning to do a DBA or want to know more about this program, the book will very much speak to them then.
Thank you, Geeta. Some very interesting perspectives. So Geeta, that's Aston Business School. I suppose many of you, at least some of you know of Aston Business School. You've got to be careful when you say where Aston is located. You can't really say it's in Birmingham because there's a little bit of rivalry, but it's a very, very, from what I know from my youth in the United Kingdom, a business school and university is very, very much connected with the business and industrial networks in the Midlands. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just going to say that it's one of the things I think we pride ourselves on. It's the sort of the connection we have to industry, which fits in very well with the DBA, given the sort of themes that it tends to explore.
Yeah. And Aston contributed 2 chapters, I think, to the book. Yes. So, Ginny, let's move home a little bit closer to home in Grenoble. Ginny is works. You're the marketing and promotions director, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your job, and you're originally from the United States, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Ginny was very active in taking part in the meetings as well, because obviously the DBA book is being seen as a tool to promote the DBA, not just our schools, but the DBA globally, and that's an important aspect of what we did. And we had from Grenoble 2 professors who contributed, in fact 3 chapters I think, because Vasily ended up splitting one of his chapters into 2. I think that must have been a decision by Michelle. I'm sure you've done that before. Okay. So Ginny, would you like to maybe give us some perspectives about the DBA from Grenoble, from France?
Certainly, well thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here today with my colleagues and here to witness your success. So thank you for the invitation. I think I have maybe in a way unique perspective doing marketing for the DBA, because part of my role is also to help promote the DBA itself and our alumni and our research, and because we all win when we have more visibility of the DBA. And I think at a time when more DBA programs are entering the market, we are seeing growing recognition as more senior managers, academics, and employers are understanding the value of the degree. But also to that end, it is critical for us to maintain the DBA brand and the vision of excellence in the global market. And we demonstrate that through rigorous research standards, high-quality research training and supervision, and moreover from our AMBA accreditation and our collaborations. So you see this? This co-publication of top DBA providers, I think, is a key example of how we maintain those high standards in the DBA and maintain the value of the DBA brand. So for Grenoble Global Management, we've been around for 29 years. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary next year, so we're happy to invite our colleagues. And we have 550 alumni from all over the world. So we've seen our DBA alumni drive forward a vision of doctoral degree as a means to make an impact on their organizations, on their industry, on their community, by producing scholarly and managerial work. And that's really important. So we see your success is what makes the DBA a success. So it's on that note that I wish all of the graduates here a heartfelt congratulations as you now join the ranks.
Thank you, Ginny. I'm sure they appreciate it. You're not yet doctors, though. You've got to come onto this stage and shake Michelle's hand, I think. Okay. Thank you. Could we also maybe have, we've got a few minutes still, I think, Michelle, I'm watching my watch very carefully. Maybe some comments about how the book has been received within your own business schools. Maybe some input about how you've actually promoted the book and the reactions from staff, maybe even from your own doctoral students, alumni. Do you have any input as far as that's concerned? Geeta, maybe?
So, yeah. Well, I think if I cast my mind back to this summer, which seems a long time ago now, we were fortunate enough to host a DBA research colloquium, and we spoke about the book and we launched it as part of that. And it did spark quite a lot of interest among our own DBA students, who I think could sort of see themselves in the book. They kind of identified with a lot of what was being said in terms of the challenges, navigating the sort of process of doing research and trying to find a way to have impact. So I think the book really spoke to them, and that was quite nice to know, because again, it's an authentic sort of experience that they have. It also, you know, very interestingly, also did go down very well with staff, including some staff who, you know, were new and didn't really know much about the DBA. I think we're all very familiar with the PhD, you know what that is, but staff are very curious to learn about the kind of work that DBA encompasses, especially in light of the links with industry. So I think that was particularly nice to note, that we had such interest from staff as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much, very interesting. Ginny, maybe some perspectives from Grenoble. This is your line of work, promotions, marketing, getting value out of some hard work that's been done by your academic members of staff.
Exactly, I have to agree with Gita. It's been, I think because it falls on, well, for me, my recruitment cycle, this will be a bigger tool for me coming January, so to share with prospects. But it's also part of our, I think now we see doctoral schools and faculty looking at us differently, and this is a fine example to see how research is evolving and how we have been major players for a long time in this.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Well, are we okay for time, Michelle? Yes, 3 minutes. Well, I think that's been superbly interesting, and thank you very much for being present online. It is a Saturday afternoon, we have to mention that, so a big round of applause for all of our online. It's great to see you again. Gita, we thoroughly enjoyed coming to your colloquium that you organised, and we were very pleased to be invited. In fact, a number of our graduates and a number of our students took part as well. We've had some very positive feedback about that, so thank you. And that once again is one of the wonderful things about collaborating with like-minded institutions from across the world. You learn so much, you make new colleagues, and it helps you advance in everything that you're doing. So thank you, Gita. Thank you very much, Ginny. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much again for your speech and for your input. It's been hugely interesting. And of course, Ruben, once again, thank you. We love having you here with us. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, Michelle, of course, is going to close this last part of the book launch. I think we're going to talk about some perspectives that we actually found in the book about the market and maybe about impact. So I'll leave the floor to you, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephen. You know what I will say, so you can say it by yourself. You know, you can present what I say. We have been working together. The main purpose of the book at the beginning was to promote DBA. Obviously, internationally, DBA is not known. And we consider that one of the purposes of the book is to promote the DBA. We are today in the phase of an emergent market, and we want to move to the growth phase. And we think that it is possible. We think that it is possible because DBA is an answer to the demand of the market. Today, companies, managers face, you have seen that this morning in the discussion that we had. Managers, company, governments, public authority, they need new answer to new challenge, to new problem. And we know that the answer will not come from our ivory tower of research department. We do think that the answer can come from the work together of experienced manager involved in their company and faculty. And that's the purpose of the DBA. Sometimes people say that we are matchmaker. We will have no match today. But we are matchmaker because we organize the meeting between manager, experienced manager, they come with their topic, and we find faculty to work with them. And that's the reason why we do think that the DBA is an answer to the demand of the market. And we do think that we will see everywhere in Europe, but also in different countries, an increase of the rate of growth of DBA. In the book, we try to answer to 3 questions. The first question is, why the DBA? We have to explain that. And that's what the purpose was, what I just said. The second part of the book is about the program, how it's organized, the DBA. And we have been very surprised in working together with our colleagues from the different DBA programs to see that we have quite the same organization, the same purpose. And what is important in an DBA program, and that's the main difference with an MBA program, is that we don't transfer knowledge. We transfer capability to create knowledge. And the main purpose of the DBA is the thesis, of course, but it's also the production of knowledge. And through this production of knowledge, the final aim is, and you just mentioned that, Gita and Ginny, the main point is to create impact. You know, today, DBA is more than a degree. Of course, I'm sorry. The degree is important. And don't worry, you will receive it in a few minutes. But it's not the main purpose of the DBA. In a DBA, we create impact. Impact on you, impact on company, impact on society. And that's also the main difference with PhD. In a PhD, you focus on academic impact. On a DBA, you integrate academic impact, of course, and managerial and societal impact. And that's very important to highlight, because that means that in the future, the stakeholders, they will understand that the answer to the societal issue, to the societal challenge, maybe will be in the DBA program. That's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much to all the schools that have been involved in this project. Thank you, Andrew, for your dynamism, for your initiative, and bye-bye. Enjoy Saturday afternoon.